She keeps sneaking into my bed whispering that she can't stop thinking about me, the military base on Kaplorofor for to be hummed with the usual evening activity as Lieutenant Jake. Morrison finished his shift in the communications tower, and the young officer had been stationed on this remote colony world for 8 months now, and the isolation was starting to wear on everyone. But tonight felt different somehow, and he couldn't shake the feeling that something was about to change. Jake walked through the sterile corridors toward his quarters, and his boots echoed against the metal floors, and the base housed about 200 human personnel, and they were here to establish diplomatic relations with the native species called the Valkyrie, and these aliens were humanoid in appearance, but taller and more elegant than humans, with skin that shimmered in shades of deep blue and violet. He had met several Valkyrie during cultural exchange meetings, but one in particular had caught his attention, and her name was Lyra, and she served as a liaison between her people and the human colony. And from their first meeting 3 weeks ago, something unspoken had passed between them, and Jake tried to ignore it, but the way she looked at him made his heart race in ways he didn't understand. Jake entered his small quarters and removed his uniform jacket and tossed it on the chair, and the room was basic, with a bed, a desk, and a small bathroom, but it was his private space, and he valued that, and he changed into comfortable clothes and was about to settle in for the evening when he heard a soft sound near his door. The panel slid open without the usual entry chime, and Lyra stood there in the doorway, and her tall frame filled the space, and her violet eyes glowed softly in the dim light, and she wore a flowing garment that seemed to shift colors as she moved. "Jake, what are you doing here?" he asked, and his voice came out more nervous than he intended, and the base had strict protocols about unauthorized visits, especially between humans and Velcora. Lyra stepped inside, and the door closed behind her. "And I needed to see you," she said, and her voice had a melodic quality that always made him feel calm. "And I have tried to stay away, but I cannot stop thinking about you." Jake felt his pulse quicken, and this was not the first time she had come to his quarters, and 3 nights ago she had appeared just like this, and they had talked for hours about their worlds, their lives, their hopes. And when she finally left, he had felt both relieved and disappointed. "You shouldn't be here," he said, but even as the words left his mouth, he knew he didn't mean them. "And if anyone finds out, we could both be in serious trouble." Lyra moved closer, and her presence seemed to fill the small room. "And I know the risks," she said, "but there is something between us, Jake, and you feel it too, and I can see it in the way you look at me during our meetings, and the way your heart rate increases when I am near." He wanted to deny it, but he couldn't, and the truth was, he had been thinking about her constantly, and during meetings he found himself watching her, and at night she invaded his dreams, and this was dangerous territory, and fraternization between human personnel. An alien species was forbidden without proper diplomatic clearance. "Why me?" he asked, "and out of all the humans here, why are you interested in?" Melia reached out and touched his face, and her fingers were warm and soft. "And because you see me," she said, "and not as an alien or a diplomatic tool, but as a person. And when you speak to me, you listen, and when you look at me, I feel understood, and among my people I am considered different and strange, and but with you, I feel accepted." Jake felt something shift inside him, and he had built walls around himself after losing someone he loved back on Earth, and coming to this distant world was supposed to help him forget and help him heal, and but Lyra was breaking through those walls without even trying. Moved even closer, and their faces were inches apart. "And I think about you every moment," she whispered, "and I dream of you, and in my culture, when we find someone who resonates with our soul, we do not hide it, and we pursue it, and I want to pursue this connection with you." Jake knew he should step back and maintain professional distance, but instead he found himself leaning in. And when their lips met, it felt like electricity and fire and ice all at once, and the kiss was gentle at first, and then deeper and more urgent, and when they finally pulled apart, both were breathing hard. "This is crazy," he said, and his forehead rested against hers. "And we barely know each other." "Then let us know each other," Lyra said, "and let me stay tonight. And not for anything inappropriate, but just to be near you and to talk and to understand this bond that is forming." Jake hesitated and then nodded, and they moved to his bed and sat together, and Lyra curled against him, and they talked about everything. and she told him about her childhood on Velcara Prime, and about the forests of crystal trees that sang in the wind, and about her family who thought her fascination with humans was foolish. He told her about Earth, and about growing up in Montana, and about his sister who had died in a transport accident 2 years ago, and about how he joined the space program to escape the pain. And as he spoke, Lyra held his hand and listened with complete attention. Hours passed, and eventually they lay down together, and Lyra rested her head on his chest. "And I have never felt this way about anyone," she said, "and my people mate for life, and when we choose someone, it is forever. And why? I do not say this to frighten you, but you should know that for me this is not casual." Jake stroked her hair, and it felt like silk. "And I lost someone I loved," he said, "and I promised myself I would never let anyone in again, but you make me want to break that promise." They fell asleep like that, and wrapped in each other's arms, and when Jake woke in the morning, Lyra was gone, and only her scent remained, and a small crystal flower lay on his pillow in a traditional Valkyrie token of affection. The next few days were torture, and Jake saw Lyra at official meetings, but they had to maintain professional distance, and she would catch his eye and smile slightly, and he would feel that same electric connection, and at night he would find the crystal flower and wonder if she would come back. On the fourth night she did, and Jake was reviewing reports when his door opened, and Lyra slipped inside, and this time she looked troubled. And "I am sorry," she said, "and I know I should not keep coming, but I cannot help myself, and my people are starting to notice, and they are asking questions." "What kind of questions?" Jake asked as he pulled her close. "They want to know if I am forming a bond with you," Lyra said, "and in my culture, this is serious. And if we continue, they will expect us to go through the bonding ritual, and it is like your marriage but more permanent, and it involves a psychic link." Jake felt a flash of fear. "And that sounds intense," Lyra said, but I want you to know that I would choose it, and I would bind myself to you forever if you would have me. And I know it is fast, and I know we have only known each other a short time, but my people believe in soul recognition, and when you know." Jake held her, and his mind raced, and this was moving so fast and too fast, but at the same time it felt right, and he had never believed in fate or destiny, but Lyra made him reconsider everything. "What about my people?" he asked, "and what about the regulations? And they will never prove then?" "We will find a way," Lyra said, and her eyes blazed with determination. "And I am a daughter of the High Council, and I have some influence, and if we present this correctly, if we show that our bond could strengthen the alliance between our peoples, they might accept it." Jake wanted to believe her, and over the next week they met in secret almost every night, and Lyra would sneak into his quarters after the base went quiet, and they would talk and hold each other and explore this growing connection. And Jake learned that Valkyrie could share emotions through touch, and when Lyra held him, he could feel her love and her fear and her hope. She taught him words in her language, and he taught her human songs, and they laughed together and dreamed together and planned possible futures. And Jake felt himself falling deeper, and he was terrified and exhilarated all at once, but their secret could not last forever. And one night as Lyra was leaving Jake's quarters, they were spotted by Commander Harris, and the older officer was known for being strict and by the book, and his expression was stern as he approached. "Lieutenant Morrison, my office now," he said, and then to Lyra, "An ambassador. Lyra, I suggest you return to the diplomatic quarters." Jake's heart sank, and this was it, and they were caught, and everything they had built was about to come crashing down in the commander's office. Jake stood at attention, while Harris paced. "And do you understand the gravity of what you have done?" the commander asked, "in fraternization with an alien species without approval could end your career." "I understand, sir," Jake said, but with respect, I believe what we have could actually help the alliance." Harris stopped pacing and explained. Jake took a breath. "And Lyra and I have formed a genuine connection, and in Valkyrie culture this kind of bond is sacred, and if we pursue it properly with their rituals and our regulations, it could demonstrate trust between our species, and it could be a symbol of unity." Harris studied him. "And you are willing to stake your career on this?" "Yes, sir," Jake said. "And I love her." The commander was quiet for a long moment, and then he sighed. "And I will speak to the High Council, and if they approve, and if you both go through the proper channels, I will not stand in your way." But Morrison, if this falls apart, it is on you." "Thank you, sir," Jake said, and relief flooded through him.